Right, fingers crossed. That's fine as it is, and it's doesn't look too shitty.
Well, that's the best we can hope for.
Yes, it's how most of our fucking videos look. So.
And this is a special one, so you know.
Yeah, exactly. It's got to look especially for the viewers.
No mess.
Well, here we are. We're back again. No books, not today, thank God.
I'm done with books for a while.
Yeah. So today, as you can probably tell from the title, we're going to be watching some insane Christian propaganda. So you're probably wondering, what the fuck? So, I've got something prepared, just a brief little intro to give us some backstory, some insight into what is this movie, what the fuck is it about, how did it come to be. A little appetizer before we chow down on the main. Any thoughts and fears early off?
Yeah, many thoughts, more fears.
Yeah, as usual. Yeah. Okay, so the film that we're going to be watching today was made in 1971, and it was principally the product of two men. The first was the director of the movie. A dog, I think?
Yeah, involved in Mortal Kombat by the sounds of it.
Dog watch now.
It seems a bit less wholesome this time. The dog's sort of screaming.
Yeah, it's also abruptly stopped screaming, which is,
Thoughts and prayers stuff.
Yeah. Alright.
That dirty old egg-sucking dog.
Oh dear. Right, so the first of these men, the director of the movie, was a man by the name of Ron Ormond. Who was born Vittorio Dinaro.
Temptation got a hold on you. She's eating away at your dreams. You're so hungry for that smell of money. You've been wasting away for years.
Oh god, I didn't realise that I knew what this film was, but I actually do. Oh no.
Yeah. So Vittorio was he was an author, a showman, a screenwriter, a film producer, and director of westerns, musicals, and exploitation movies, who in the mid-1960s actually crashed his single-engine airplane that he was flying to a movie premiere, one of his own movies. He crashed it into a field near Nashville, in Tennessee, and after many, many months of recovery, he was very, very seriously injured, and he emerged from, this huge recovery period as a born-again Christian. So after this, at some point, he eventually comes into contact with the second man of note here, a Mr., and I am not making this up, Estus Washington Pirkle, a Georgia-born Baptist minister and evangelist. Between the two of them, like I say, they would produce a number of these Christian movies. They are, in a way, a kind of very early prototypical form of the sort of Pure Flix brand of, disingenuous Christian propaganda that continues to humiliate honest, compassionate Christians to this day.
Yeah, just a bit more exploitation film.
Yeah, a bit more exploitational and a bit more kind of hellfire and brimstone.
The director was an exploitation director, and these films, it's like you say, they're basically exploitation films with bits of sermons interspersed. Yeah.
Pirkle would star in a few of these kinds of sermon movies. They all feature the same kind of insane, rambling, nonsensical hate preaching
that we've all come to know.
Yeah, exactly.
Statistics prove that 6,000 people die every hour. That means that half that number go to hell. That means that every hour over 3,000 people go to hell. Every minute over 60 go to hell. At this precise moment, someone is headed for a burning hell.
not going to hell, is he?
I'm afraid he is. Chances are he's likely burning in the flames of hell right now.
But yeah, so the movie that we have picked today, I have picked today, is titled If the Footmen Tire You, What Will Horses Do? Which is a kind of paraphrasing of a Bible quote, and the meaning of the phrase is essentially to say, you know, if you are tested by something easy, how are you going to fare when the real trial comes? And of course, I'm delighted to say that in the context of this movie, the trial that is allegedly fast approaching is the encroaching totalitarian communist regime that is on the cusp of genociding all Christians in America. So yeah, I mean, I'm really excited to watch this, and I know you guys are too. Now we just need to, you know, sit down and watch the damn thing.
I just can't believe that this is the film we're watching, because all you told me it was some mad Christian anti-communist propaganda, which, in fairness, should have really given me a clue.
It did narrow it down quite.
And then when you said it was from 1971, I was going to joke about, is it a Christian exploitation film? And then when you said the name of the director, I realised, yes, it is. It's Footmen. Because I think there's three main ones.
So there was the kind of duology. One of them is about his conception of hell. Then the other one, I believe, is called The Believer's Heaven, which is sort of the counter to that, where it's, you know, the first one's like, this is what you'll get when you go to hell, and the other one is, and this is what you'll get if you give me all your cash. And I think he rants about communism in that one too.
Yeah.
But this one is specifically, the reason I picked this one obviously is for obvious reasons.
Yeah, I remember when I found out about these three films feeling like I'd love to watch one of these, but I doubt I could sit through all three of them, so it would definitely be that one. And that's the one.
Yeah, well, the nice thing is that they're each about an hour long, so maybe we'll watch the others some other time, perhaps the other two as one. But
we'll see how it
We'll
goes.
see. We'll make that decision.
We'll burn that bridge.
Exactly.
He thinks everyone's John the Baptist. You're not John the Baptist. No, I'm not.
I'm actually quite hyped to watch this, so
definitely.
I think we should just get into it.
Cheers.
Cheers.
God bless us, everyone.
I've just cleaned my teeth.
God would not punish men like this, would he? The Bible says that he will.
I've changed my mind, this is the best film I've ever seen.
Okay, so that sure was something. It was sort of everything I wanted it to be and more.
And less.
And less, exactly.
It was kind of perfect in every way. Wow.
It was made in his image. Whose I will let you know. So, I guess we'll get straight into it. We'll start at the very beginning. We kind of open the movie on a bunch of these horsemen riding along. Fucking birth of a nation. These are the new communist overlords in America.
They're riding horses.
They're riding horses.
I don't know why. The horses have like comparisons with hammers and sickles on
They're
them.
red with hammers and sickles on them. They were trying to go for some biblical allegory, but it just looks so stupid. It just doesn't work at all.
Hammer and sickle. Why would they be riding horses?
I know.
Why would they be riding
Joe, it's a very powerful, moving, and stirring metaphor.
No, it isn't.
Joe, shut the fuck up. Also, we see in the credits, basically the entire cast and crew of this movie is made up of members of either the Ormond family or the fucking Pirkle family. Yeah, it's obviously all church related.
Yeah.
It's obviously all just beg, borrow, steal, whoever you can get from anywhere.
It seems like they literally just used congregations from several different churches, and so they just used each other's congregations and families and that.
And a host of others too numerous to mention. How Christian is it? So in narration, Pirkle tells us basically that everything in the movie is based on true events. Which
is a fucking lie.
Yeah, only becomes more absurd and ridiculous as the movie goes on.
But it's funny that because obviously exploitation films are kind of famous for doing that. Like, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre does it. Like so many. Yeah.
So fitting that he starts. Shit. Basically, his thesis statement for this movie is that communism is going to take over. It is inevitable.
Within 24 months, did
he says 24 months. Yeah, 24 months from the date of the movie being made, I guess. So, any day now.
Any day since 1973.
The things that are happening in America today are like a Sunday school picnic compared to that which will take place within the next 24 months unless revival breaks out in our country. Tens of millions of Americans will be shot down like flies in our towns. Many of you listening to me today are going to see hundreds of dead bodies on the streets of your hometown.
He sounds like Jesus.
All of the dramatized reenactments are taken from actual events that have happened in Russia, Korea, China.
He's the head of China. He's the head of the revolution of China.
We get the first hint of it here, and it's something that's going to come up again a little bit later on, towards the end of the movie. Like I say, obviously, it's this Bible quote that he's paraphrasing, the footmen and the horses. Like we say, we see the communists on the horses, and he explicitly says the horses, sort of thing.
Well, and he constantly refers to them as footmen, doesn't he?
Like footmen and horses are kind of used interchangeably. It's really muddled and confused kind of guy. But basically, he talks about how the horses will destroy the enemies of God in the book of Revelations. Like that's the quote that he's referring to, and he even says it himself. These are the horses that will destroy the enemies of God. And it's something to bear in mind because it's kind of a key issue that he runs up against here. And like I say, there's hints of it here, and by the end of it you can kind of see it a lot more clearly. The communists are essentially instruments of God because of course everything is an instrument of God.
Yeah.
The suggestion really is that he may not be quite so against the idea of communists murdering everybody as he might want you to think. He starts with this kind of very classic white supremacist kind of racist Fox News Turner Diaries-esque doomsaying about how police and judges are being assassinated all over the place. He talks about kids on college campuses rioting every day, which I have to presume is a reference to anti-war protests.
Yeah, I'm assuming
being done at the time, obviously, with the Vietnam War, which is kind of hilarious because you might foolishly believe that anti-war protests are something that the Prince of Peace might consider fairly Christian, but I guess, Mr. Pickle disagrees with his Lord and Saviour on that one. Asheville, Tennessee. I love it's based out of the place where he fucking crashed. They say it took him months to recover. I don't think he ever will quite recover. There's also like a brief bit where he talks about the forces, these powerful forces that we're going up against, as Christians, which obviously is kind of hilarious for two reasons. One, because it's sort of, obviously ridiculous for a Southern American Christian to sit there and tell you that, oh, we're really up against it here in America. I mean, it's just absurd. But also, you do kind of get hints of a kind of anti-Jewish conspiracy. Obviously he's ranting about communism.
Yes.
And there's very much the sort of they being employed here where it's like, who exactly do we mean by this?
I suppose, the absence of the phrase Judeo-Christianity was quite noticeable.
And he actually follows up this section here where he talks about they and these powerful forces that we're up against by explicitly blaming the Jewish people in the Bible for their own destruction. He talks about how, we're just like the Jews were then, where we thought we were going along smoothly. And they were warned, and the prophets kept telling them, and they didn't listen. And so it's like
the Babylonians.
Yeah, the Babylonians came.
Oh my God, that was the amazing sequence.
Although God's prophets repeatedly warned them to resist the evils of their day, they paid no attention to them until suddenly disaster came. They were invaded by Babylonian soldiers who beat them and enslaved them and left their homes in ruins.
So we get this line kind of rhetorically drawn between these powerful forces and these Jewish people that didn't listen and fell and blah 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 and all this kind of stuff. We also have this incredible moment where, like you say, the Babylonians appear kind of superimposed over this group of like 50 Christians who stood in the woods for some reason. Then we have like the communists riding in and chasing them, and it's like really obviously famously reminiscent of the slave catcher patrols, chasing down fleeing slaves in the south of America, and it's just insane that they would employ imagery like that while attacking this fantasy version of America. Again, this is another theme that will continue to plague the rhetoric of this fucking insane Pickle. He will never address the issues that are present in his society contemporaneously. He loves to imagine this fiction that's going to happen any minute now, but he's got nothing to say about the crimes of America and of capitalism and of this Christian nation that he imagines being somehow even worse through this like obvious like theocracy that he obviously wants to see instated over America. He's got nothing to say about the inadequacies and the immorality and the fallenness or whatever of the present situation. That just goes completely unaddressed.
Shocking that.
Yeah, I know, I was really surprised. We then see a bunch of these Christian congregation people they've wrangled together chased into a river by horses. I'm going to keep saying it, but another theme emerges here. We see Pickle like ranting about how fucking terrible the communists are and they'll chase you down in rivers and blah blah, while he's showing footage that he has put together of his people dressed up as communists chasing the rest of his people into the river. It's like
there are children.
There are children getting knocked
horses
over,
running around. There's just children in this
getting
river.
trampled to death in the river and drowning. And it's like the communists are not the danger. It's you. You are the only one who's doing anything like this. This is such a perfect metaphor for it as well. Like he's warning everybody about how the communists don't care about your kids and everything, while he's showing images of his abuse of those children, making them run into a river on being chased by horses. It's like you're the only one that's actually doing it.
Do you think they were unionised? Do you think they had all the health and safety in place for this? When
one of those kids just fucking fell over. It's like he could have been swept away or trampled by a horse.
It was actually a really, really good day of filming that day. Only 2 kids were taken by alligators.
He continues to sort of rant and preach monotonously into the camera.
Yeah, he's so dull.
It's so dry and sort of... It's weird because it's like he's really one note and dull, but he's also manic and zealous at the same time.
Yes, yeah.
So it's this weird kind of combination of just this like droning, but it's insane droning.
Yeah,
so it really like just bores into your head where it's just like, this guy is fucking mental.
It's a very...
so hellfire, brimstone, like classic preacher stuff.
Yeah, like you say, it's monotonous, it's droning, and it's so long-winded, but at the same time it's so zealous and such an insistent droning.
Do these things seem far-fetched to you? If you lived in Russia or China or Cuba, they would not seem so. The citizens of these countries for many years have felt the iron heel of communism upon their daily lives. And unless we have some rapid changes in our country, our easygoing life of 40 hours a week workload and 2 or 3 weeks of paid vacation a year will soon be over.
He then gives us this incredible moment where he basically claims that communism is essentially anti-labour. He starts saying how holidays and time off and good working conditions will be a thing of the past once capitalism is overthrown by the evil slave-driving communists. Everyone is going to basically be a slave to their workplace. They'll be worked until they just drop dead in the fields.
That'd never happen under capitalism.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm sure Mr. Pickle would never stand for that in America.
No.
It's the God-fearing country he loves so much. No, he would never allow for something like that to happen in America. We see then piles of dead children, all the little kids
Another
killed.
theme.
Another theme, endless child murder. The children are murdered for being good little Christian girls and boys. There's also, I noticed it at the time and I didn't mention it because it was kind of, that's a bit horrible. And obviously it's not necessarily something you want to sort of call out, but like it's something you can't not bring up. Obviously there's this pile of bodies laying
sort of like
there.
the upskirt shot.
There's this, the pile of bodies all covered in blood, and there's this little girl, and like obviously she's very young, and the camera is literally looking straight up her skirt, and it's like the fact that they shot it and then actually edited it into the movie and did nothing to like hide it. It's literally in the movie. They put it in the movie, and it just fits so well thematically with this idea of like, heaven forfend the awful communists, how they will abuse our sweet young children. Anyway, here's a dead child covered in blood. Let's look up her skirt. It's like, are you for real?
Yeah,
It's like,
I almost brought it up myself when I was seeing it. I almost just said, you know.
Yeah, it was.
But it was so. You're just like,
does anyone want to approach that subject?
Yeah.
And especially, like we were saying, how straight away you can feel the exploitation, like DNA.
Oh yes.
I do wonder, was that actually done deliberately? It's genuinely impossible to say.
Yeah, I don't.
You'd like to think that it was just an accident, but why put it in the movie? How did you not see it? Why is any of it in the movie?
Yeah.
Perhaps you're saying, I would not permit this kind of thing to happen. How could you stop it from happening? If you try to interfere, they'll shoot you down like clay pigeons.
And so, like I say, we have the bit in the river, we have this bit here, and there's a few other bits and pieces that come up. Like I say, it's basically a theme of how Pirkle and the movie talking about how awful it would be and terrible to exploit and abuse children, while they literally show footage of they themselves actually for real abusing children. Literally happens multiple times.
Yep, over and over again.
Yeah. Basically, anytime a child is on screen.
These terrified little children who clearly don't really understand what the fuck's going on are just being dragged around by these men and
Italian maniac. So we're introduced to sort of the main character of the movie. There's kind of a plot. It's like
there's kind of a plot.
Yeah, like shockingly.
Well, it's like the only actual the only thing that you could call a plot is actually like the subplot. Really.
Yeah, exactly. Well, for the most part, it's like a total subplot.
Yeah.
Which obviously the movie draws attention to it, but I never expected that it was going to grow. I figured we might get these other vignettes or something with other characters. But it's this woman called Judy who we're introduced to, and she basically, like by the end of the movie, the whole like denouement of the movie is the climax of her story. Yeah. So bizarrely, we'll get to that.
We're not gonna talk about you.
Who do you think that is?
You could almost believe that was an early David Lynch film.
Like Pirkle is like a fucking lodge spirit. He genuinely is.
In fact, the entire congregation in that church look like fucking lodge spirits. Like, in fact, one of my favourite aspects of the film is how every time the camera cuts to the congregation,
listening to
it's just proper vibes, isn't it? Like, they look exactly how I feel. There's so many of them are just like...
it's so good.
But they're not even trying to hide it. You know? It's like they've obviously been wrangled into this thing and they don't really know what it's about.
Like, you have to assume that this is footage of his actual congregation. So I can only assume the reason they look that way is because they're all irreparably fucking insane. But like, I wonder if it was like a fucking Tim and Eric style situation where it's like all of these people got out of prison yesterday and they've all been given clothes that don't fit them and they have no idea what the fuck is happening.
Tim and Eric is it does feel like a Tim and Eric sketch.
They're just waiting for their $50. This cannot end soon enough. Like I say, we're introduced to this woman Judy, and she essentially becomes the sort of main character of the movie. But basically, we're introduced to her. She's with like this guy who's one of her fellas. She's probably got men everywhere, and basically she's like a fake Christian. She goes to church and she keeps up appearances, but she's secretly a fucking slattern.
It's funny how Pirkle's not considered a fake Christian for all of his child abuse and indoctrination techniques and his money grubbing scam that he
but you should joke, she's a woman.
Oh,
so there you go.
I hadn't noticed that.
And so basically we see this as again another kind of thing that emerges where obviously you have the kind of exploitation women as victims. Let's leer at the victimization thing that obviously becomes even more clear later on. But like there's also just this general misogyny to Pirkle's Christianity where he literally just blames women for the way that they get mistreated. So like basically this is kind of the conversion angle. Judy is this fallen woman who fakes being a Christian, and so she goes to the sermon to keep up appearances, but it ends up...
I mean, it would, wouldn't it? It was so compelling.
The 5th chapter of James tells us that God's going to send revival before Jesus comes back again. Thank God, this thought thrills my very soul. You too have the possibility of being in on it.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
But yeah, basically, at this point in the story, she's this like amoral slut who deserves nothing more than the fires of hell.
Yeah. I love the way she keeps like looking at her watch and stuff during the segment again, because it's just like, yeah. So basically, again, like I say, with the whole, the horses who will destroy the enemies of God. Judy is the enemy of God that the horses are here to destroy, basically. He's got a list of people that he wants to burn in hell. Yeah.
And if they're not going to burn in hell years down the line, he's happy for the communists to come and do it for him.
But I see some strange young men and young women today. I see strange people coming to churches across the land. But we can't blame these young people for what's going on today and let the adults go free.
They must be shot as well.
Well, I mean, the fact that he describes all what the communists are going to do, but then when he starts talking about the wrath of God, he's describing exactly the same things, but as if it's righteous. The guy's a prick.
Yeah.
Now, who's responsible for this unwarranted attack on my person?
He then talks about, like I say, these are like the fake Christians, the fallen people that are dragging America down, basically. And so he says God won't save America if everyone doesn't do as he says, basically. Yeah. So if you don't go to Pickle's church,
at 5 o'clock every morning, exactly. 8 in the night,
then God will pass us over and he'll let the communists come and kill us all. And he actually, it's really funny because he actually says, he'll pick another country, and he lists a few countries that God will pick as being like more religious, more Christian, and he actually cites Brazil. Which really did make me laugh, because it's so funny when you consider the fact that it's like in Brazil's recent history, ignoring the fact that it was a fucking fascist military regime when he was talking about it. But like in recent history, we've had Bolsonaro, a fascist dictatorial Christian who came to power in Brazil and then commenced immediately to genociding the native population of that country and destroying the Amazon rainforest in an attempt to literally bring about hell on earth for the entire planet. And a fucking communist had to step in and defeat him and put that country back on the right track. Like, it's just so fucking funny that he would pick that.
Of all the places he could have said.
Counterexample. The reality being that the danger, more often than not, for most people on this planet comes from men like Pickle. I think it's roughly around here where we also then just cut to a woman in the crowd who's staring at Pickle like he's a fucking maniac. It's so funny.
It's so funny. There are definitely facial expressions, but it's like, I cannot see that that's a coincidence. Like,
how did you think that was a good fucking shot to show?
That is a face
very
of someone,
engaged crowd.
That is absolutely the face of someone who's thinking, what the fuck are you talking about?
They're adding so many more things to make our children go astray. Today we have the drive-in theater. Have you considered what goes on down there? It's nothing more than a spawning house for sex.
And where should I go to avoid this spawning house for sex? Straight after this, he then talks about how really it's in the house of God where the rot has taken hold. And he talks about how places where I've been preaching, a young woman has gotten up and started singing, and the men in the gallery have catcalled her. And you think like, oh, of course he's like saying, oh God, those terrible guys. And then he goes, and why? Because she was wearing a miniskirt that was 12 inches above her knees. And it's like, what? So he doesn't single out any of the men.
No, there's no problem with those men sexualising a woman in church. That's fine, because it's her fault. Well, of course they behave like that, because that's just how men are.
Because she's like Judy, and she's a fake, and she's a whore. And
those men aren't fake, they're real good Christian bars.
Yeah, but they're being tempted by her. She's the sickness.
Also, the level of detail. A skirt that was 12 inches above her knees.
He measured.
I got a good long look.
I stood up to preach in a certain congregation. A young lady stood up to sing, and she got catcalls from all over the house. You know why? She was dressed in a miniskirt 12 inches above her knees.
There's a real menace about him as well.
There's
a real, like, the way his jaw sets and, like, moves, and it's like, there's a
very
real
demonic figure,
there's an element of Dennis Hopper in Blue Velvet.
100%, 100%, yeah. Where's my fucking bourbon? Pickle.
Pretty.
It's a bullet from a fucking gun.
Let's fuck! That movie really could have done with Brad Dourif.
They should have got David Lynch to direct.
I think they did in part.
Yeah, towards the end.
Yeah.
He then moves on to start talking about how kids should be raised. Like, how can we blame the kids for being so fallen when we don't raise them right and we don't teach them right?
We're running against a strong footman in the way of our public school system today. When my daddy went to school in North Georgia in the early 1900s, they did not have all of the facilities that we have in our modern schools.
Like a building.
Like drop the hanks.
Food.
And yet they did not feel shortchanged. They enjoyed it.
He talks about
When my daddy went to school in North Georgia, my
daddy. Well, my daddy used to say, blah, 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 blah. Oh, he did? Did he? Well, wasn't that fucking enlightening? My daddy used to say, fuck your daddy.
Yeah, he does the whole my daddy defense.
Yeah.
Like a good son of mine.
It's always very convincing, isn't it?
Yeah, I was one over me.
My daddy was a cunt, and so everybody else must be.
So am I.
Yeah.
He starts talking about his father's education, which is like literally portrayed as racially segregated, which it literally would have been. He then talks about how they were taught character and the Bible. He talks about how his dad was taught character and Bible lessons from this thing he refers to, the McGuffey readers.
Yeah, did you
obviously I looked into that.
I had no idea what
the McGuffey, obviously it's like, you hear him say it, and obviously especially not being from the South, not being from America, not being from that time period, obviously it's like, what the fuck is he talking about, the McGuffey readers? And you get the idea how bad they must be. But basically, the McGuffey readers were literally a colonial era religious educational text, like a series of kind of textbooks.
They sound delightful.
Some of which date from as early as the 1830s.
Well, that's all of his fucking...
Yeah, exactly, he was born in the fucking 1830s. So like you say, I think that gives us a perfectly fine fucking picture of exactly the type of character the my daddy was being taught. Obviously, like I say, they are these kind of staples of American religious homeschooling and private education. And I imagine there are places that still essentially teach the same shit to this day, if not literally the same fucking colonial era fucking puritanical insanity. I always loved the fact that the pilgrims that went over to America, obviously they were all insane religious lunatics. That's why they left Europe, because they were even more insanely religious than the Europeans. But like when the Puritans turned up, the fucking pilgrims that had gone there before them, the original fucking colonists, there are writings from the time where they're like, I tell you, these Puritans that have just turned up, they're not mental. Insane. No, they're not insane or religious enough for my liking.
Oh Jesus!
Yep.
Oh.
They're literally like the Puritans.
The Puritans were too fucking woke.
Who went on to burn fucking women for being witches. When they turned up, the people that were already in America at the time were like, they're not insane or religious enough for my liking. These weak-willed, soft Christians. It's like, imagine what these fuckers were doing before the fucking Puritans turned up and tamed their wilder fucking urges. So yeah, his daddy was being taught by books written by those cunts.
Excellent. Yeah. Well, that must have been very character building.
Yeah, you're talking better character by beating him around the fucking head with the book.
I'm sure they did.
Yeah, so he then goes on to essentially claim that teachers are paedophiles.
Oh god, the sex education
thing.
Well, it's just, I love that. I love it.
Yeah.
That scene is fucking hilarious because it's such a snapshot into someone who has never had any kind of sex education. Yeah. That's what they think sex education is, and it's like, Jesus.
It's genuinely insane.
Boys and girls, as I have discussed with you many times before, I personally believe that premarital sex is necessary. And now we will go on to discuss the 7 erotic zones of passion in every woman. The first one is...
And they go on to teach worse things.
He basically shows his era equivalent of the fucking litter trays in the classrooms bullshit. Utter nonsense. And then goes on to blame TV cartoons for increasing the crime rate by 1,000%. This is again another theme where he just plucks facts and figures
anytime he
straight out of his arsehole.
Anytime he says a number, you know it's bollocks. I mean, to be fair, anytime he says absolute
absolutely. Yeah.
anything, you know it's bollocks.
Yeah, if you told me his age, I would. Yeah, I suppose I should say as well, just with the whole paedophilia thing, obviously, like, the fucking richness of a fucking preacher, Christian preacher, gonna sit there and start accusing educators and things like that, because they're teaching children valuable things about themselves and the world they live in. They are sexual abusers and predators, and this guy who's, like, literally a child abuser in this film.
There's footage of his abuse of children. Back to the exploitation film. There's such a like Cannibal Holocaust vibe. In the obviously Cannibal Holocaust is a film about the exploitation of indigenous peoples, at least in part that's what it's about. And yet, in order to make the film, they abused a bunch of indigenous people. And this does exactly the same, except that there's just narration directly over the scene in which he said, and this is the abuse that these evil communists will run on our children. While you're watching children getting yanked about and made to throw up on camera and fucking all that shit. Oh god.
He segues neatly from teachers are all paedophiles, cartoons make children kill everyone in sight, to dancing is immoral and a cause for social decay that is akin to drug and alcohol abuse.
It's so fucking Ian Paisley.
It's so funny.
I'd like to know what's your attitude toward dancing. You say, preacher, times have changed. I don't see anything wrong with dancing today. Dancing is just as wrong as it's always been.
He calls it the front door to adultery. It's so
What
funny.
if you were dancing with like your wife?
That's still a sin. Hell.
Yeah?
Hell. I mean, you should be run down on horseback.
And, by the good Christian boy.
Exactly,
There are many men today who are hurting the church tremendously. They'll drive their family up to the church and let them out. The mother and children beg him to get out and to go into the church with them. But he will not. He has things more important than this to do. Someday, men like this will want a church to go to, but will find it's been closed. Only then will they realize what an awful thing they did in not going to church.
You're not giving me, devil. He says that preachers are allowing multiple marriages. At first I thought he was talking about like bigamy or something. But it seems what he means by multiple marriages is divorce. He's saying that divorce should be illegal basically. And that if you get married it's for life.
Marriage is for life.
Yeah, you marry till death.
Or, you marry till death.
So basically he's saying if you want to get married again you should strangle your wife. That's what I took from it anyway.
He definitely had the wife strangling.
We will be slaughtered like cattle.
He says that until the last few decades there was not a single communist in the world, and that now they control over half the population of the world. He says that they will take over America with jet age speed in the year of our Lord 1971, like I remind you. He then goes on to explain that America will fall in 15 minutes, and that the communists are currently planning on killing, I guess, exactly 67 million people. That's the plan. I'm not sure exactly. I don't know if that's the number of Christians he thinks are in America or something. I'm not sure exactly what that number is, but again, plucked right from the crack of his arse.
When will they be sorry? It will be when communism takes over America. But you say, preacher, that could never happen. It not only can happen, but it will happen with jet age speed. Are you aware that less than 60 years ago, there was not one communist in the world, whereas today communism controls 1,100,000,000 people. That's half the population of the world. Their plans call for taking over America within 15 minutes after 0 hour.
What the fuck is he talking about?
Literally everything he just said was fucking insane. There was not a single communist in the world.
They're gonna take over America in 15 minutes. This movie was made in 1971. Oh god.
And the fact that like the right are essentially still preaching the exact same thing.
They've never stopped.
Literally when I said any time he says a number you know he's lying, I wasn't bullshitting. That is
true.
Every time he brings up a number, you know what's coming.
He literally says the communists control 1,100,000,000 people on the earth, which is half the population of the earth. And from what I understand, the population of the earth in 1970 was roughly 3.7 billion people. So he's completely wrong. Yeah, we then see this quite hilarious little fake news bulletin, kind of War of the Worlds stuff.
Yeah, oh god, yeah.
Orson Welles, eat your heart out. This like rugged up fucking drunk who has no idea where he is. This sort of Cameron Mitchell-esque.
Yeah, he was very Cameron Mitchell.
He's clearly reading it for the first time.
The fact that those guys clearly couldn't afford Cameron Mitchell, it's like, Jesus Christ, guy.
He's clearly reading it for the first time, and some might argue he doesn't even manage that.
We interrupt this program to bring you news bulletins from Washington, D.C. All of the wires have sent us the account. The President of the United States has been killed in the White House, along with the Secretary of State and the Speaker of the House of Representatives. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the communist takeover of the United States. This is the end of democracy, as you and I know it.
Gentlemen, this is Democracy Manifest.
Pirkle then goes on to explain to us that communists aren't interested really in the adults, they only want the children.
Yeah, anyone under 30.
Anyone under 30 basically.
Yeah, anyone over 30 will be killed.
So they're going to kidnap...
I don't know where he gets this shit from. It's like, what are you talking about?
They're going to kidnap all the children. We see footage of some of Pirkle's associates manhandling children into the back of the fucking truck.
That, like, seem to legitimately just start crying because they have no idea what's happening.
While their parents scream and cry. So they're basically going to kill anyone over 30. They're going to kidnap all the children, and that's just the lucky children because we've already seen that any Christian children get murdered.
I don't know if it's quite his introduction, but that scene, I think it's the introduction of my absolute favourite character from the film.
Best character in the movie.
Possibly in fiction.
Yeah. He's like some kind of soldier or something.
Yeah, he's like a captain, I'm assuming.
I think he's credited as the Commisar.
Right, okay.
Who that's supposed to be.
Right, he is just incredible. Like the fucking facial expression, like it's the absolute worst overacting exploitation, shitty acting.
The worst accent.
I don't
know what it's even supposed to be.
At first, I didn't understand what it was supposed to. I'm guessing it's supposed to be Russian.
Now, which of these parents was teaching these children Christianity?
Yeah, we get this incredible guy. He's like straight out of Italian exploitation cinema. He comes in, he presides over the kidnapping of the children. The father just gets led away at gunpoint, and the woman.
No one tries to resist.
No, they just sit there like confused. Like again, this sort of thing that kind of we see a lot, where it's like we're supposed to believe that the communists have like taken over America, and that's why they're able to do this. Yeah. But no one seems to act like they know this. It's like they're all just sort of hearing it for the first time, and then they all just get massacred. But so he presides over this like kidnapping. The mother stood on the porch just like screaming and crying, and he just pulls this big sick evil grin, pulls a revolver out, and just shoots her straight in the stomach. Which it seems the only place they knew how to put a squib was right in the stomach. So anytime anyone gets visibly shot and screamed, basically that's exactly
the same place.
Same place. And this is the first instance, of the amazing greasy close-up of this guy's face, which just becomes like probably the most used piece of footage in the whole film. The tiny amount of money that they had when they started quickly runs out, and they have to just keep using the footage of this one guy over and over and over again. It's hilarious.
Yeah, love him. Absolutely love him.
MVP.
Yeah.
Alles klar, Herr Kommissar.
Pirkle then tells us how cunning and amazing and super sly and clever they are about brainwashing. We cut to...
Probably the second best character in all of non-fiction.
The blackboard just has "communism is good" written on it. That's how cunning they are. Amazing.
The guy as well, the
Cuban schoolmaster.
For a minute as well, I'm just like, is that the same guy who read the radio thing? Like, and they've just put a fake moustache on him now.
He's changed his wig.
Yeah.
In their approach to make children hate Jesus Christ, they're nothing but cunning and subtle.
Again, we were struggling to figure out the fucking accent. It turns out that he's Cuban.
Now, how many of you believe in Jesus? Come now, don't be bashful.
It sounds like he's from Newfoundland.
Home of Newfie Marx.
We will pray to our glorious leader, Fidel Castro.
The masters of brainwashing. He gives them an object lesson in how Jesus isn't real, because if you pray to him for candy, candy doesn't come. But if you pray to Castro for candy, candy will come.
Castro brings the candy.
Yeah, and it's true, you know.
And he does.
You know, it's true.
Here, take all that you want. This is a miracle, not from your Jesus Christ, but from our glorious Fidel Castro.
Imagine substituting Fidel Castro for Jesus Christ.
It would be much better. Yeah. The Bible would be made infinitely better if Jesus was inexplicably switched out of a Fidel Castro.
Oh my God!
This is incredible.
This might be the best thing we've ever done on this show. This is fucking amazing.
Yeah. And honestly, Pirkle talks about, you know, can you imagine switching Castro for Jesus?
Yeah.
Apparently, I guess he means that in a bad way. I can't really see it myself. Yeah, the Cuban schoolmaster.
That was
absolutely incredible.
Amazing. Like just one of the funniest things. Like when it's just his underling comes in with a big bag of candy and just dumps it on the desk, and he just starts fucking
the faces of these like 6-year-old children who have no idea what the fuck is happening. It's so funny. Yeah, we then cut to footage of people being like worked in a field under armed guard in the southern states of the United States of America, and again makes no comment on the country he actually lives in. He just continues to fucking fantasize about an America that will literally never exist. And funnily enough, something that I noticed going back through the movie, this is actually the only time a non-white person appears on screen. There is actually a black man right in the background of this scene.
I didn't
working
even
in the
notice
field.
that.
The only black guy in this movie is being worked in a field.
Do you think that it's possible that wasn't actually an extra?
Yeah,
It was just a farm labourer that just happened to be there.
Got like some farm labourers, and so that's why they're the only black people.
Yeah.
Because all the others are just church congregations.
Yeah.
And they obviously wouldn't welcome black people.
No. Yeah, they looked like a right nice bunch, didn't they, that congregation? But they literally all looked like they had fucking bodies under their floorboards, you know what I mean? They all looked like fucking serial
Yeah, they all had the look of Daisy.
Yeah.
We then see this like Christian Bible group kind of thing out in the woods.
Yeah, lot of them out in the woods.
Christians hanging around. Yeah. I don't know if they're there to be baptised or something.
I think it was budgetary.
Yeah. Then we see the Commisar like surveilling them. He storms in and he quickly roots out the preacher amongst them, and once again, bang, straight in the stomach. He gets shot in the gut and he goes down. They then just start like killing everybody basically. And then this is where we hear about the awful things that the communists will do to the children. I mean, before they apparently just killed any Christian children, but now it's different.
Yeah.
They'll just torture them and leave them alive.
He says that, he literally said like the communists love torture.
They love torture. Yeah, they love torture and killing.
Yeah.
So they literally, easily one of the most insane things I have ever seen. They grab this little kid, and as he screams and begs not to be brutalized, they sharpen up some bamboo.
And he specifically says this is a thing communists love to do.
Yeah. They carve up some bamboo into little stakes, and they force them into the ears of a screaming child, and then we see like actual footage of this actual kid actually just vomiting onto the floor.
Yeah.
They've either deliberately or accidentally somehow induced this kid into actually just vomiting on the floor.
Absolutely guarantee that was deliberate. They gave him a pill or something.
It's like the vomit is like white.
It's almost watery.
Yeah, and it looks like they've just given him like some pill or something and made him vomit. And I have no idea why you would want to do that, but it's fucking disgusting.
Why did you need the kid to be vomiting?
Yeah,
he's already getting
that's what I mean. Like, I'm not sure. It does kind of look like they did it on purpose.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know if they actually just by manhandling this kid around and fucking keeping him out in the fucking heat or something, and he's actually just fucking thrown up.
Yeah, it is possible. Every actor, but especially those children, were clearly abused on that set.
Yeah.
Like you say, kept out in the heat for too long, thrown into the path of fucking horses. They were chucked onto trucks and pulling them away from their parents and that. It's like
sticking bamboo. It's just Jesus Christ.
The fact as well that he says that the reason they do the bamboo thing is so they can never have the opportunity to hear a sermon of Jesus again. It's like fair trade-off, maybe.
Yeah, there were parts during this where I was fucking shocked. Fucking get it in me. Just fucking shut the fuck up, Pickle. Like, that kid was actually just vomiting there. What the fuck? Like, they're actually gonna sit there and rant about the communist child abuse while, like, visibly abusing children in their own movie. I love as well, like, the whole thing of just being like, oh, they're never gonna let these poor, delightful, innocent children hear a wonderful Bible lesson again. Anyway, here's a footage of sticking bamboo in children's. It's like, what, this is the lesson that they're being deprived from, is it? Oh no, those evil Cuban communists.
When he says, many of you here today will have to suffer for your Christian beliefs. It's like, well, they're doing that right now, aren't they? Listening to you.
Yeah, you're the one making it.
You find this shocking? There are things more shocking to come. The communist treatment of Christian women is horrible to imagine.
Here you are, dear.
Thank you, darling.
How's the dress coming?
Almost finished.
Good.
Hey, doggy. You're my favorite customer.
Hi.
Can I help you?
Yeah, can I have a dozen red roses, please?
Oh, hi, Johnny. I didn't know it was you. Here you go.
That's me. How much is it?
It'll be $18.
Here you go. Keep the change. Hi, doggy.
You're my favorite customer.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
They love torture, like you say, and they tie women to jeeps and pull them apart.
Communists love to torture people as much as they love to kill them. For example, they like to strip a woman naked, tie her head to one jeep and her legs to another jeep, and pull her limb from limb.
Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines.
He says, that essentially that's what the lucky women get.
Yeah.
And we have this scene play out where the Commisar goes to this guy's house, piss drunk. Oh my god. Oh my god, he just comes into people's houses, knocks on the door, forces his wife, not even forces him, just strolls in, and then just batters this guy around the head, and then just like obviously rapes this woman. Thankfully it's off screen. But
I will give the film one thing, and that is obviously the fact that because it's like this Christian themed thing, and it's obviously it's supposed to be aimed at that sort of audience. It's so weird because it is an exploitation
way
film.
Too far.
It is an exploitation film,
100%.
but it's clearly not aimed at like an exploitation audience. It's far too tame for that.
Exactly,
basically,
really, it wants to shock its audience.
Yes.
It doesn't necessarily want to cater to a less savoury crowd.
Yeah.
Fucking the most awkward garbage you've ever seen. The old Wiggum charm.
Better turn on the old Wiggum charm. Oh boy, that sounded bad.
This is the point where we learn that the Commisar was apparently the main inspiration for Chief Wiggum in The Simpsons.
That was incredible. It was almost like just one for one. Yeah.
Imagine if that girl had been your wife, or your sister, or your mother. Not only could it be, but it will be, unless some changes take place.
Well, it will be. If
That could be your mother.
Its roots in fucking exploitation cinema is so obvious, and it's just so at odds with any kind of like wholesome moral position it could claim to have, when it's just like basically trying to sort of titillate with sensationalist garbage. Here, look at dead kids. Oh, isn't that shocking? And oh, yeah, this pretty young woman. Oh, she's about to be fucking raped. And it's like, what the hell are you doing, man?
It's also like exploitation. It's not known for its quality necessarily, but like this is one of the worst. This is one of the worst exploitation films I've ever seen. Like most will have like one or two actors that are like as bad as all of the actors in this.
They've only got 4 actors, and they're all terrible. And the fact that it's just completely fucking hypocritical when you're talking about some like essentially fascist Christian conservative. He wants a theocracy. And it's like, no, we'll sit and talk about Korea and China, but we won't talk about any of the other countries where your ideology has run rampant and seen exactly what it does there. Yeah, no. Fucking Estus Pirkle. You could trust your daughter around him around your fucking daughter.
I was going to say, I'd be really interested to see his criminal record.
Yeah, well, he probably never got one, did he? Because the state and everything is geared towards men like him doing whatever they please, especially when they fucking cosplay as Jesus. Then Pickle tells us how the communists see all religious people, anyone who believes in God, they see them as a diseased animal, and then he then goes on to calmly explain to us why anyone who doesn't believe in God is a diseased animal.
There are people today who believe that communism and Christianity can exist side by side. The leaders of communism teach otherwise. They say, and I quote, "Either Christianity will win or we will win. We cannot exist together." End of quote.
To quote the leaders of communism.
All of them, they all said it at
at the
once.
same
They
time.
were a cappella fucking barbershop quartet.
How many of you believe in the immortality of the soul? Do you know what communism teaches about you? It teaches that you do not have a soul, but only a body. And when you're dead, you're dead. Furthermore, they teach that anybody who believes in the immortality of the soul is a diseased animal. And the sooner they kill you, the better they like it.
I love as well, like he's like, the communists preach that people only have a body, they don't have a soul, and when you're dead, you're dead. And then doesn't interrogate any of the philosophical implications of that, which for most people who believe that, it's like, so you only have one life, so you've got to do your best, be kind, be good to others, because this is all you've got one chance, live your life as best you can, and all you've got at the end of the day is how you treated other people and were you good and kind to them. Instead, they will kill you as soon as possible because they're evil soulless animals. They say I'm an evil animal. You're literally maligning people in the exact way they aren't.
They will tie you to horses or something.
During jeeps and pull you apart.
It's like,
and then in the next breath he's like, they'll lie about you. Say that you're a maniac who would tie someone to 2 jeeps and pull them apart. It's like, fucking mate, you've been speaking for half an hour and like roughly half of that time has just been contradictory fucking gibberish. He kind of butts right up against the actual implications of a agnostic or atheistic worldview and then just completely drops the point, doesn't actually explore that in any way, and just leaves the implication that somehow not believing in God means that you enjoy torture and raping women and sticking bamboo in children's ears. And it's like,
you're the only one who's been ranting about that.
It's like, so it makes them a diseased animal. Okay. And what do we do with diseased animals?
Yeah, it's very similar to all of this type of shit that you see in that it's so much of it is clearly projection. They see the religious, the Christian as a diseased animal. It's like, no, they don't. You just see the non-Christian as a diseased animal.
Exactly.
That's what's happening.
Really reminded me of William fucking Luther Pierce.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
They are all mad religious zealot cultists who want to destroy the entire planet. Anyway, please allow me to introduce my friends from the mad zealous religious cult I'm a part of. We're all going to get together and destroy the world. As the movie goes on, this becomes like more and more apparent where he's just like completely contradicting himself, and it's like I say, in a way, I think he wants this to happen. He's talking about the communists as essentially as instruments of God, that they will justifiably do this to the fake Christians or that. He's basically just fantasizing about a religious takeover where all the people he wants to die get killed. And so ultimately, he's not so much talking about a communist takeover of America that will never happen. Really, he's just fantasizing about his own desires and what he would do.
That's really what seems to be happening here.
You will note that the state wants your history, your exact history, from the age of 5 until this very moment.
These accents are
You think they were from Vladivostok, wouldn't you? They're so authentic.
Everything you have said and done. In particular, your religious beliefs and the amount of money you have made and given to the church.
Because obviously religious people, they don't care what you've done.
No.
God only tallies up literally every single thing you've ever done and then kills you forever for it.
At least these guys give you a 5 years.
They give you a fighting chance at least. So then we see the Commisar interviewing people in their homes, trying to root out the Christians, and he tries to get a guy to murder his own mother because he claims he's not a Christian to try and get away with it, and his mother refuses to lie. So he's, they're like, well, now kill your mother because she's a diseased animal, and if you don't, we'll kill you all. And basically, it's part of this whole thing of like how you have to be willing to die for Jesus. Like you mustn't lie. You have to tell them, yes, I am a Christian, and just be killed on the spot. Something that goes to insanely hilarious lengths towards the end of the movie. We'll get to that.
Especially the way the interrogation scene's done, it's so bad. You know what I mean? It's like if they'd have all just said, "We are not Christian,"
like having
they would have believed
whispered
them.
conversation.
Yeah.
Everyone can hear it. It's so funny.
Tommy, you wouldn't. You wouldn't deny what all Christ has meant to this family?
Sis, tell Mother, I know I'm a Christian, but God will forgive me if I lie about it just this once.
Tommy, tell them the truth. Tell them that you are a Christian. I would never deny my Lord.
I am not a Christian, and I'm not a capitalist either.
But I'm not. Your mother says that she is. Take my gun. Shoot her.
I couldn't shoot her. She's my mother.
Your facts are right. She is your mother. But mother or not, she is a diseased animal, and she must be slaughtered like any diseased animal. Now kill her, or we will kill you.
And they will kill you too.
Yeah, basically what we see here is like people being ruthlessly like audited, their backgrounds explored for any
From
kind
the
of
age of 5.
Yeah, until the present age, for any sort of questionable behaviour which goes against this, governing ideology that they've now implemented, and then they'll be punished for any transgressions, which is only the main pastime for Pirkle's entire fucking religion. It's so funny how he sits there and acts like communism is so bad because they'll sit there and tally up all the bad things you did over your life and then punish you for it. Oh, the sickness, the diseased animals they are. It's like,
like I say, it's just all projected.
Yeah, exactly. It's ridiculous how transparent it gets at times. He talks about how the communists are all torturers, they love torture and death. And he says they're actually a lot like Hitler, so he kind of does the whole Hitler was a socialist sort of thing. How many black people are in your church there, Mr. Pickle? I guess they're all sitting at the back, eh?
You think you've known cruelty? Watch. In this torture, a man's kept away from water for 2 to 3 days, and then salt poured into his mouth. He's made to endure unthinkable torture.
I think you're actually doing it.
You just see all these like sensationalized, largely just invented exploitation sequences. Yeah. And the problem, like I say, is obviously, yes, he's trying to shock people, but the style of exploitation cinema is leering. It is
of course it's
sexualized.
Yeah.
It is disgusting.
Yeah.
And so it's completely at odds with this moralizing that he's doing. When he's literally, he talks about the cartoons and they teach children sex and murder and all this stuff. And it's like, what are you depicting here? Like, you're not showing something in some disgusting way that's going to make people go, oh, Jesus Christi, and join the church. Like, it's pure exploitation. It's just so hypocritical, which really surprised me. Didn't see that coming at all.
Grab him again!
They keep showing all these torture scenes and claiming that this is what the communists do, when it's like you're literally watching them abuse people on screen. And it's like, no,
that's what you're doing right now. Yeah.
It's like, okay, let's just say the communists do that. Yeah. They're catching up to you at last. Yeah, so he then talks about the brainwashing and how people will basically be forced to sit before lectures in which they are brainwashed by communist propaganda, like we've seen, communism is good, and he actually revisits that as him playing this like...
That was so
communism
funny.
is good, Christianity is stupid, as like the sly, cunning, brainwashing techniques they've learned over years.
He's so funny, obviously he's really evil and nasty, and there's something very horrible horrible, like very predatory about him.
Yeah.
But there's this kind of naivety
there's
as
this
well.
silly, goofy childishness, which kind of makes it only more all the more perverse.
But when he's talking about how sly they are, and
communism is good.
The best he can come up with for this subtle propaganda is communism is good.
Yeah.
Communism is good.
Over and over.
So, and the fact that he clearly just has literally
he literally at no point does he even attempt to explain what communism is.
No idea.
Yeah.
He has. He's never even thought to himself.
Yeah.
Well, hang on. What is communism?
He only views it through the lens of they are anti-Christian.
Yeah.
And it's like, mate, listen to yourself.
Yeah.
This is why people are anti-Christian.
Yes. Yeah.
Men like you.
Yeah. I think it's fair to say that men like him are incredibly anti-Christian.
Yeah, exactly.
themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
These people are sitting on benches with no cushions or backs. They'll be forced to sit there for 17 hours, from 5 in the morning until 10 at night. They will not be fed or watered until they return to their skimpy barracks. They are listening to a recorded lecture that is repeated over and over and over again. Communism is good. Communism is good. Communism is good. Christianity is stupid. Christianity is stupid. Christianity is stupid. Give up. Give up. Give up.
One thing I know about this movie is that it was used in like Christian Bible camps and things. They would make kids watch it. God, and apparently in some South American countries it's still played today. And it's like, this is literally the use of this movie. This is it right here. This scene is actually depicting how he wants this movie to be used.
It's almost childlike, his understanding of brainwashing and communism. And
it's so weird.
Communism is good.
Yeah, when you couple the sort of childlike nature of it with the violent exploitation side, it's so like weird and perverse.
Yeah, it's kind of everything you associate with this brand of Christianity, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
And like you say, this film itself is an example of indoctrination of children.
Yeah.
Obviously, like most of these people, they just literally, they keep using the word communism and they just have no idea what like not even the vaguest hint of what it is. And it's the way he really just sees it as just a purely anti-Christian ideology.
That's the only way he wants
it's anti-capitalist.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily even anti-Christian. There were plenty of Christian communist fucking revolutionaries.
Yeah.
Like, look at South America.
Yeah. We see the crowds that are forcibly assembled to take in this propaganda, and it's literally just indistinguishable from the church congregation scenes that we've seen. And obviously, the fact of the matter is, this is a propaganda piece that, like I say, was sent out to like Bible camps and sent to indoctrinate literally children, and is apparently in some places used even to this day to indoctrinate children.
How could anyone watch that shit today?
Because they're made to.
God said, if my people called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked way, then I will hear from heaven. I will forgive their sin. I will heal their land. God does not despise a broken and a contrite heart. But if we go on in our pride, go on in our sinfulness, neglecting God's house, God's word, God's ways, we will be slaughtered like cattle. We too will be shot down like flies.
He keeps saying that phrase, shot down like flies. You would have to be a fucking phenomenal shot to shoot flies out of the air.
Also, he wants this to happen.
Yeah.
Like he's spent like 35 minutes up to now saying, wouldn't it be awful if this happened? And then he's like, by the way, God is the one who's going to make this happen to you if you don't come to my church and give me your money. Like, he's literally saying that if it happens, he will actually essentially be celebrating it happening to you. If it happens to you, you deserved it.
Yeah, I mean, we've just read the fucking Turner Diaries, and now we're listening to this fucking gobshite.
It's basically the same kind of like mad.
This is what the communists will do to you unless I get to you first.
Exactly.
If you don't stand up for Christ, the communists will do this to you. And also, if you don't embrace Christianity, I will fucking do it.
God will find a way to bring it about.
Yeah.
And who do you think is he going to choose to be his agent of destruction? It's going to be Estus fucking Pirkle, isn't it? What a maniac.
Are you willing to repent of your sins and come back to God now?
That's Ben Shapiro, isn't it? Yeah, this is sort of the part where I think he kind of gets as close to flat out saying it as he gets in the movie, basically. Where he's talking about, like, you know, like I say, the way that we fight against this, you know, the sort of preventative measure to save America from the communist takeover, which has apparently, I guess, already happened. You know, by the time you finish the movie, it's happened 15 minutes. We're fucking 40 minutes past that. It's already happened now, I guess. But, yeah, is that everyone needs to go to his church and, I guess, you know, give him their money, right? And so this is the point where he's like, you know, you all have to go to the church, give the money, you have to go every day, you have to go every morning, every day, every time, you know.
He says every morning and every night, doesn't he? Yeah.
We mustn't just come on Sunday morning, but on Sunday night as well. We mustn't come just when we feel like it, but when we don't feel like it. Even as your employer expects you to be on the job regularly, God's people are expected to attend God's services regularly.
Good. He just, at the beginning of this fucking movie, he was ranting about how the communists don't care what you want. You have to turn up for work at 5 o'clock and you'll work until then. And if you don't like it, they'll shoot you. And now it's like, just as your boss expects you to be at work at 5 o'clock in the morning, God expects you to work until 8 o'clock at night. And if you don't, he'll fucking shoot you. Like, how can you be this contradictory? You have 50 minutes and you couldn't help but just completely defeat your own fucking bullshit.
What God loves to do is make sticks out of bamboo and shove it in your ears.
Stick him in kids' ears, yeah. He's like one step away from just saying that now. The parallels between his version of a communist totalitarian state and then what he then demands of you, it's like they're the same. They're the same. And any government that is built upon the principles that you are espousing and by the people you are encouraging to take these leadership roles will be identical to what you've just described. It'd be far worse to the anti-Christianity of everything he stands for. And then basically what he's saying is that if you don't do that, you deserve to be killed by the communists, and that will be what brings it about, and that you'll then be killed by them and you'll deserve it, and that essentially, therefore, obviously, that's how they will fulfill the role as horsemen, because God will have ordained America fallen, and therefore you should now all be killed by the communists. And so ultimately what he is actually saying here is, rather than as a warning, he's using it as a threat. He's threatening people. He's saying, this is what's going to happen, and I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to laugh when it happens.
This is what's going to happen unless you give me money.
Yeah, unless you come to my church and give me money.
He's technically extorting people. That's the word. Extortion is
an absolute racket. He's kind of let the cat out of the bag, really, where he's basically just saying, I hope this fucking happens. Fuck off! And so, R.I.P.
All y'all! All y'all!
This is what we need. And also preachers who will get up and preach the word under the anointing of the Spirit of God. And the church must identify with such dynamic preaching. We must seek God's face and worship.
He says, sitting in a black suit, stock still, going straight into the fucking camera.
He just shows another guy just doing the same thing.
And like the other guy he showed looked identical to him. So dynamic and diverse. Not a lot of black people in this church, I've noticed, Estus. Have you got any thoughts about racial politics in America?
Oh, I'm sure he does.
Got any thoughts about the labour practices of your own country?
I wonder if there'll be any black people in heaven.
Yeah.
In his film.
Yeah, there'll be a whole bunch of Italians blacked up.
Oh, Christ.
I wonder if they'll have knives in their belts. Yeah, you imagine a cannibal movie with fucking Pirkle narrating over it.
I want to see
Cannibal Holocaust.
Yeah.
It is coming to your hometown. You think that you could not be eaten by a man from the Amazon? But it will happen within 10 minutes. I will be that man. I will eat you. Pickle then tells everyone that they need to go to church constantly. He compares it to a place of work. He says you have to turn up early and stay late. He says God is your boss, which is literally the nightmare vision of the world that he said was going to come about under the communists earlier on. But now it's suddenly great because I guess it benefits him and his fucking money making. Yeah, suddenly now that's all good and wholesome and pure, and it's going to be what saves us. Yeah. okay, yeah, that makes sense. We see a bunch of like creepy children singing some horrible fucking hymn.
That was horrifying.
Yeah,
that was
genuine like horror movie
horrifying,
stuff starts to happen here. This is apparently supposed to win us over.
Yeah. But I love that. Yeah, you get all of the exploitation stuff, the torture
you get
and
the
the killing.
This is supposed to be the carrot.
The carrot
is horrifying.
It's absolutely because that's the thing. Again, exploitation films. They're not necessarily horror films. You know. They're extreme. Extreme, exactly. Yeah. But it's really when it gets to that point of it, because it's not necessarily like the sort of horror you'd see in an exploitation film. It's far more like what you'd see in like a David Lynch film or something like that, and it's so like
it starts to get really creepy.
What the fuck is
this?
Yeah.
We then see Judy's fucking ancient mother. Like we've seen Judy from like in between.
The idea that that's her mother is like that's her great grandmother.
That's fucking Pickle was great. We've seen her like spread throughout, like she's listening to the sermon and she's bored, and then she starts to get sort of basically she's terrified of the implication that it's going to happen. He's not winning her over through any kind of like Christian fellowship and brotherhood and love. He's threatened her, and now she's scared. And so we see that her fucking ancient crone mother, her ancient mother, is like trying to get her to turn to God.
I implore you, read the scriptures.
Yeah, she's trying to.
Fuck off.
She's trying to get Judy to turn to God, but it's not working. So we cut then to Judy's mum in the kitchen. She has chest pains and just basically fucking drops dead in the kitchen.
And it's because of Judy.
Yeah, because of Judy, because she's such a trying little horrible fucking evil whore. So her fucking dear old mammy fucking drops dead.
The idea that it's because of Judy. It's like the woman's like 107 years old, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, she wrote the fucking McGuffey. Give her some rest. She's been around long enough. She came over on the fucking Mayflower. She's dying in bed, and Judy's like hugging her and like, no, it's gonna be fine. The doctor's gonna come. The doctor's gonna be. You're gonna be fine. And she's like, please, Judy,
I implore you.
I implore you. And she's like, please turn to God and go to church and all this shit. But the doctor comes, and it's too late.
It's just really sad.
It was so sad. And Judy's like howling, and they cover the body up and that. And so she's gone, and now Judy's sat in the church crying, really feeling the spirit moving in her.
She's just faking it.
Pirkle's put her up to this.
Pirkle's poisoned.
He's gonna get the house
and marry the daughter.
Are you serving any other God? What about the almighty dollar? Many people love their money more than their God and serve it more faithfully.
Then why are you making a movie about communism? Why are you not making a movie about the system which your country currently operates under, which literally worships the almighty dollar? You'll criticise the things that might happen here, but you've got nothing to say about the things that actually do.
The communists are going to make hour-long movies in which they preach over exploitation footage.
What about taking God's name in vain? Do blasphemy and cursing come out of your lips?
God, fuck me. We then get what is probably the funniest scene in the entire movie. They basically save the best till last. This is, again, another scene that Pirkle claims is literally something that happened
in another country.
Never feels the need to provide any details or proof of any of this stuff, but it definitely happened.
Oh, yeah.
And it's definitely going to be happening within about 15 minutes in America, when 67 million people are killed at jet age speed.
Oh, yeah.
By the communist takeover.
Well, did you not hear about that? It happened 15 minutes after 1971. The communists took over America and they stuck bamboo in everyone's ears.
Yeah.
It was fucked.
Yeah. So the Commisar pays a visit to a local church.
Which is just even the premise for that is just such a fantastic scene.
Yeah, you know it's going to end well. That's how it begins.
Good morning, comrade. Pastor?
He goes to this church and he sort of picks out this young couple to fucking murder, basically. He asks the preacher, it's so, again, like I said, it's so weird because it's like, obviously these people must know that the evil, violent, murdering communists who are killing tens of millions of people,
67 million,
all across America, are in power and that they are killing all the Christians. And he turns up and he's just like, hello everybody, this ridiculous fucking guy. And he's like, oh, Mr. Pastor, you know.
He calls him Comrade Pastor.
Comrade Pastor. Comrade Pastor. And he's like, who is the most innocent victim here that I might murder? The guy's just like, oh, these two here.
Yeah.
Why? What would you like to do to them?
He gives them up.
Just gives them up straight away.
Like,
it's so weird.
He doesn't have to be cajoled.
No, there's no trick.
There's no trick. He just asks him.
He just asks
have you converted anyone to Christianity
like,
today?
Oh, yeah, these two.
Oh, yeah, these two.
And
This young
you imagine
couple.
them just being like, what the fuck did you say that for? And especially when it's like, they're all at the church.
Yeah,
they're all Christians. It just makes none of it makes any sense. The whole setup is just ridiculous. But anyway, cut to the chase. They take the young couple off and machine gun them to death. And then everyone else goes, runs over, and then they just machine gun all of them to death as well. There was no reason for any of this to play out the way it does. Right, it's this scene again. I missed this.
What are the odds that they get shot in the torso?
Snitches get stitches, you fucking dumbass. What the hell is wrong? Why would you tell them?
What? Yeah. Oh, this young couple. Right, this is shot so well, isn't it?
This is such brilliant.
The stunt work.
It's just an explosion. Hey, there it was. The gut shot again.
Yeah, it's just all staged so badly. Like,
yeah, you think so?
Yeah, I think I do.
Oh, everyone's a creep.
Like, obviously, it's fucking awful as like Christian anti-communist propaganda. I say that this isn't Christian. This is fuck. It's anti-communist propaganda at least. I'm not quite sure what it's pro other than fascism, basically. But like that side of it's bad. But it fails abysmally as an exploitation film as well. Like, look at that. Like, it's just
they don't even have the budget to show any of it.
No, exactly.
Like, by this point, they've completely spent all the money.
Yeah.
There's just a random explosion at one point.
Yeah. When they're shooting at them. Oh god, the fucking
total Breen-esque. Like, no budget
There's like
shooting.
The gunfire is mostly like just off screen, and there's just a group of people, and they just drop
down on the ground.
It's so bad. And then there's like one squib, and there's one
bang straight in the
stomach. But then behind them, there's like a field behind them, and there's just an explosion. I do wonder if it's just like some crazy farmer has like landmined his field, and one of the blanks they were firing hit it and set it off.
It's so mental. So they kill everybody, and then this little young Ben Shapiro comes strolling out of the church, clutching a picture of Jesus, and he picks a fight with the Commisar.
Oh, the dialogue in that is it's the best line of dialogue in the whole fucking thing.
My mama and my daddy, you kidding you? Yes.
Think of how much better off you'll be without them.
Where's my mama and my daddy? You've killed them, haven't you?
Yes. Think of how much better off you will be.
The state will look after you.
So now the state is going to take this kid away. But the kid refuses. He will not be raised by the state. No. So the Commisar gives him a test. He gives him a chance. He takes the picture of Jesus and he throws it on the floor and he steps on the face. And he's like, if you just step on the face of your beloved white Jesus Christ, then I will let you live.
Your beloved capitalist Jesus.
Yeah. But if not, I will be forced to kill you. And the little kid's like, oh, Jesus, Matt, loving my message. You was for me on the cross, and now I'm willing to do the same for you. And he refuses to step on the cross, and the fucking Commisar's like, you foolish little boy, now I will be forced to cut off your head. And he pulls this fucking big folding fucking like machete like thing.
It's one of the weirdest blades I've ever seen. Because it's not quite a machete. It's like somewhere between a kukri and a fucking switchblade. Do you know what I mean? It's like, what the fuck is that?
And it's got this like that old like movie sheen.
I guess it's kind of curved as well, so it's partly a sickle. You know,
it's so
fucking weird. I've never seen a knife or whatever the fuck
it's. He fucking made it himself. It's fucking Pickle's knife.
One day you died for me. Now I'm willing to die for you.
Oh my god, they're gonna cut Ben Shapiro's head off.
Why, you stupid little fool!
Best scene in the whole thing. I've changed my mind. This is the best film I've ever seen.
Movie. And he literally He literally just fucking swipes this fucking kid's head clean off.
It's like, it's actually done kind of well.
Yeah, it's done,
compared to the rest of the stuff in the film. Because someone getting shot looks fucking dreadful every
so
time.
he holds the hair and he hacks the head and pulls the fake head up, and then he fucking tosses the head into the dirt and it just bounces along. It's so funny.
Said change must come through the barrel of a gun. I want you all to listen, son. Listen, son.
The Commisar is just so fucking good. Like, just the look of this man, the sideburns. They stop about here, but they go right to like here. And the greasy face. It's just.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously racist.
Yeah.
It's so ridiculously over the top. It's just, you can't help but just love this guy. You just see him living his best life, you know, and I'm here for it. But,
the pleasure he takes in tricking these people when he asks the pastor, like, you know, who was converted.
He's totally
and he's
like hamming it up, loving it and bringing it. It's so
Nikolai,
funny.
it must be rewarded.
It's so funny.
Where's my mama and my dad? You killed him, didn't you?
Yes.
He's one of my favourite characters in anything.
This is outrageous. Like, the fact that it's like he's literally telling children to get themselves killed.
Yeah, I think it's certainly arguable that, like, Christianity, certainly, like, large parts of it, would not have survived without it going underground and without people pretending they weren't Christian, you know. But no, literal
you
children.
have to be a fundamentalist zealot.
So is he saying that if that child had just done as he was, he'd have gone to hell?
Yes.
So is your God really any better than these people? Yeah. I wonder if in the heaven one they depict God, and if they do, I really hope it's played by the soldier. Yeah, with the same accent. That's God.
With the beard. So basically what Pickle is saying at this point is that children must be willing to lay down their lives for God and the church and for its leaders, such as himself. And if they don't, they will go to hell. He literally says that if he had stepped on the picture, he would have gone straight to hell, and that the only way to save himself was to die for the cause. And again, like the parallels with William Luther
I was
Pierce
just going to say that,
enormous.
It's crazy that that's the last thing we read.
And now we've followed it up with
watching this, and it's just like
really similar.
So similar. Yeah, fuck me. I bet they fucking knew each other. Pirkle and Pierce.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise
me. They had a sitcom in the 70s.
We talked about Pierce doing fucking stand-ups. Yeah. It turns out it was like fucking prop comedy gags. Pickle and Pierce. Judy is, like I say, she's been really like worked up throughout this sermon. She's so disturbed by the idea of this little kid getting his fucking head chopped off that she literally like howls out, screams in the congregation at Pickle, crying, tears down her eyes. She screams out, and like literally the reality of the movie starts to like break down. Suddenly she looks at the front of the church and her mother is laid out in a fucking casket there as if it's her funeral, and Pickle starts like talking in this weird soft way and talking straight to you.
I think it's his grooming voice.
Straight up. It is. And she's like, and she gets up and starts like wandering down to the front, and her dead mother starts talking to her about how she needs to convert to fucking Jesus and accept the love of God and all this sort of shit.
Judy, my little girl, how long I have prayed that one day you would come to God's altar and surrender your soul to Him.
Jesus, this is creepy as fuck.
Yeah. It's like the music sounds like it's from a horror film, like a Giallo or something.
Literally. How is this a good thing that's happening?
She said to you that the only way was a pure Christian life.
Your mother wanted you to get your head cut off. Come to me, Judy. This is horrific.
Yeah.
Listen to it. He's literally. This is James Malcolm Isbister. This is the fucking Isbister from Trump Tower. Then Pickle literally becomes this like ethereal, fucking eternal horror movie character.
Yeah.
And he's like whispering ever so gently to her, "Will you kneel with me now, Judy?" And they kneel down together.
And as they do that, like, because the coffin starts to fade and Pirkle just walks on.
He like fades up in her place.
It's so Twin Peaks.
It's like the voice she's hearing and that she thinks
as her
is
mother,
her mother is actually this creature that's luring her in. And the moment she like makes this covenant with him, it's game over for Judy. And so they kneel down and they start praying. He's praying in more ways than one. He's praying on her. This like grieving woman whose mother has apparently just died, which again seems to be something that the film only realised was going to happen after we were introduced to her, because her intro just makes no sense in the context that her mother has literally just died. This is like the most deranged funeral scene I think I've seen since fucking Garth Marenghi.
Look out, he's got a gun! Move aside. That's the mother, Rick! Well, that'll stop him.
So, was this whole thing the funeral?
Yeah,
So when she pulled up at the church, like, I gotta show my face, keep up praying.
It's her own mother's funeral. And then he's just giving a massive hellfire and brimstone preaching about fucking communism while he's supposed to be doing a fucking funeral. What the fuck is happening?
Judy, will you kneel with me at the altar?
I've sinned against my mother's wishes.
That woman's asleep there. This is just predatory.
Yeah. It's so funny because when they said it was an exploitation film, I thought they were talking about like the murder and the torture.
But no, here it is. Here's the real exploitation. Yeah. It's like the fucking bit in There Will Be Blood.
This is such a powerful and poignant performance.
Yeah, I'm really moved by all this. I'm as moved as the fucking woman sat
I think this is quite a tense scene because I'm just waiting to see whether that woman's going to just like wake up suddenly.
Fall face down the fucking chair. I'm waiting for fucking Pirkle's fucking devil horns to fucking show up.
One thing I really like about
Love it.
But the way they introduce her character, and then they keep showing these little flashback sections of her doing the evil things,
like smoking cigarettes.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's a film targeting Christians, it has to be very tame. But because it's also directed by an exploitation director, it looks all seedy and nasty and grimy. But they're not actually doing anything. There's like a part where they're just like drinking or smoking cigarettes
or cigarettes off a candle.
And they're like dancing at one point, and it's like as if you'd think they were murdering a baby. The way that like the soundtrack goes, and it's like
it's so insane.
You'd think you were watching one of the most brutal exploitation films imaginable, but you're seeing like a man and a woman dancing.
And even like during the point where Pickle's like saving her soul, some of the music is like still horrifying.
Yeah, it's horrible.
It's like
when she gets up and it's like this is it. She's about to be saved. The music
moment where she's like suddenly she's like the only person in the world.
So I swear I've heard that music before in a horror film. You know.
Why don't you get up from where you are right now and come to Jesus? How often your mother prayed for the day when you would publicly declare your faith in Christ?
Yeah, during this point as well, we see the woman basically falling asleep in the crowd.
In this big moment where she's being converted, and obviously everyone's just sat there like, but there's a woman who's literally just fast asleep,
visibly asleep in the front row on camera, and they put it in. Fucking amazing.
I don't think they were aware that you could reshoot a scene.
I don't think they reshot a single thing. They had a certain amount of film, they had a certain amount of time. and they literally shot everything.
Like any exploitation film, innit? It's like, you know, we don't want it good, we want it Thursday.
Yeah. So yeah, they kneel down together. It gets really creepy, really weird. Judy is saved.
He is so...
the predatory nature comes out there, where he's like smiling at her and everything.
Because for the most part, he's just literally this completely dry,
callous,
just looking at the camera, just waffling his horrible dog shit, right? And then as soon as he actually starts interacting with another person, and it has to be a young woman, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's just like, that's not a human, that's a demon, that's a fucking monster in human skin.
Like he literally, like, you think of like the torture that he keeps going on. It's like he inflicts torturous ideas. I'm not saying obviously that he's literally torturing a person, but psychologically he is battering these people with ideas of burning in hell, being tortured forever. If you don't come to this church every day, the communists are going to come and get you. They're going to get your children. They're going to turn your children into murderers and torturers. The best your children can hope for is to be decapitated by a fucking Italian maniac. They're going to burn the country. They're going to do this, that, and the other. They're going to murder millions of people, and they're going to kill you and your family. He's battering down their defences. He's terrifying them. He's doing all this stuff. And then, of course, the inevitable end point is a hand on the shoulder. I'm going to show you kindness, and I'm going to do... I would never treat you like that. Don't you feel joy? Do you feel peace?
Oh,
and it's so predatory.
She's crying. She's crying, and he says, "Do you feel peace, Judy?" And she's, "Do you feel the joy?"
It's miserable.
It's fucking like we said. It's the most horrifying part of the whole thing.
It really is,
and it genuinely is. Like, I was laughing when that little boy got decapitated. Right. That's gonna be great.
I'll clip that.
Put that on a t-shirt. But when Judy was having her soul saved by the hero preacher, I was just absolutely horrified.
If you died now, where would you go?
Go straight to God.
Same.
That's right. Takes a fucking it off.
Just as I am weak.
The Pirkle singers. The percolators. So yeah, Judy saved, the communists forgotten. Pickle gives his last little spiel, basically just begging everyone to like join him, join his church, send him fucking fan mail or whatever it was he's after. Money in the fucking post, I guess. And then he, I guess you could say he finishes us off in a spectacular way.
The film does have a happy ending.
What a crescendo, what a climax.
Like you say, he's asking for, he's begging everyone to join his church, and then he gets very specific about what he wants.
But right now, this very moment, wouldn't you like to receive Jesus as your own personal Savior? Will you get up and come to the altar? This could be the most important decision of your lifetime. Will you come? Will you come? Will you come?
Oh my god, that was disgusting! Getting edged by fucking Estus Pirkle. Oh, you dirty old bastard. So yeah, basically it turns into this sort of like masturbatory ASMR video with fucking Pastor Pickle whispering in our ears, telling us to come, and come again. It is incredible ending.
I do wonder if the director
got him to say that for a joke.
Because he directed fucking exploitation films and shit, and then he has this big, conversion to Christianity, and he's working with this fucking lunatic making this absolute dreck fucking propaganda shit. And I do wonder if he's just like, oh no, what you should say is, just invite people to come to your congregation. Just say, will you come?
Yeah.
Like that, like that,
And just say it again. And just say it again. And just say it again. And just one more time. And just one more time for me, please. Just one more time.
It's so funny.
It's unreal.
That film starts as like fucked up, right? From the absolute jump, it's one of the most fucked up things you'll ever see. And it just gets creepier and creepier and creepier until literally the final frame of the film. It just keeps getting, it's like, the back, will you come? And you think, alright, one time he says that, you could go, but then he just keeps saying it, and it's like, Dude, shut the fuck up.
Incredible way to end the movie.
Well, that's over.
Good God. I don't imagine there's an end credits, post-credits sequence. The extended fucking Pirkle cinematic universe.
Hashtag release the Pirkle cut.
We've kind of covered everything there is to cover.
Absolutely.
But yeah, like I will say, obviously we watched the movie today. It was, apparently sort of lovingly remastered.
Imagine what it looked like before.
Some point recently.
Yeah.
At some point in the last 7 decades. And,
real human being and a real hero.
yeah, I would definitely recommend watching it if you want to laugh. Obviously, the other 2 movies that he did are on YouTube, so if you want to give those a watch, then maybe at some point we'll cover the other 2.
Well, I said, didn't I, in our intro, we'll see how it goes. And honestly, I don't think it really could have gone much better.
I feel like that is probably
the height of it, isn't it? Yeah.
But we'll see.
It is disturbing, but because of the target audience, it's very tame, and so it's like
it's that mix of childish,
and
ridiculously,
way over the top. Yeah. So it is disturbing, but there's nothing in there that's like too much.
It's disturbing, but in an incredibly funny way. It's really fucking funny.
Yeah, we were laughing most of the way.
It's like 53 minutes long. It is hilarious pretty much from start to finish.
I would say, probably the film's best quality is its length.
Yes, its lack of length.
Yeah, because it's so short, it somehow manages, in spite of itself, not to overstay its welcome. It gets right in there, it does everything it promises.
It gets the job done.
And then it gets really, really creepy, and then it fucks off. And that's it. And I don't think you could ask for more than that from an exploitative Christian propaganda film, really, could you?
Yeah.
So 2 thumbs up from me.
Now this is going to astound you, but I'm giving the movie thumbs up.
It does astound me. Are you okay?
So I think we've said really all there is to say. Check it out for yourself.
It's well worth watching. I promise it is well worth watching. It's absolutely hilarious. I mean, I guess with the caveat, if you're into this thing.
I would say with a few drinks and some friends, you can definitely crack that out and have a fucking laugh at that.
Yeah.
It is very funny. We've definitely got to get into some of these pure flicks movies. There are way too many that we're leaving on the table here.
Yeah.
We've got Christian John Wick, we've got Christian Mad Max.
Yeah,
we've got to get stuck into these.
How do you not want to watch Christian Mad? I'd never even heard of it until you mentioned it, probably 2 or 3 years ago now.
Yeah.
And for all that time, I've just been fucking dying to watch Christian Mad Max.
We can't spoil that for ourselves. Netflix movies.
And I'm really itching to watch that. Revelation Road, right?
Yeah. So we'll get to those soon and watch a few more insane Christian right-wing propaganda movies. So there you have it. That was Pastor Pickle's absolute fucking garbage fire. What a movie. Thanks for being here with us. Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey. We hope you had fun. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. Please, if you liked the video, do like the video. Leave a comment for the YouTube algorithm. Share with your friends if you think that they would get something out of this. I'm sure they would. It makes a perfect present in the old inbox, in the group chat. And check us out on Patreon, buy our books, and I think we've gone through it all. We've emerged on the other side. We've gone through purgatory and before the pearly gates. So thank you all for being here, and join us next time when maybe we'll be taking a trip down Revelation Road. Cheers! I'm trying to think of some kind of Bible quote that might go well and here at the end.
And Jesus said unto them, fuck it.
Fuck it, that'll do. See you later.
Can you see them now? Can you see them now? Can you see the sisters swinging, Can you hear them now? Can you hear them now? Can you hear the brothers singing, Let's go back to church. Let's go back to church. So damn long since we sang the song. Let's go back to church. Let's go back to church. Let's go
There's a massive seagull.